Good evening, Scotland. Good evening, social media land. I hope you are well. It is Friday, the 4th of August, 2023. Welcome to Saorsa Live. My name is Mo. I'm a father of 4, husband to 1, and a lifelong campaigner for Scottish independence. I used the Saltire handle across several platforms before and now have banded together with other activists online to create Saorsa, a collective of digital creators and those that also support us. We are not an organisation with any powers. We're not a political movement. We are just people with a love for independence and a willingness to campaign for democratic, independent Scotland, where everyone counts. On tonight's show, we will be discussing all sorts of interesting things. We're going to be looking at unity within the independence movement. We're going to be looking at representation within the independence movement and that massively contentious thing that's just happened this week about Scottish oil. And then we'll be chatting as well to the people in the side chat, bringing up any interesting comments or questions as the show goes on as well. But as usual, we will start the show with Blair's word of the week. So let's hear it.
Your Scots word of the week is gies, which is a shortened version of gie us, which means give us or give me. And here's a wee example sentence. Go and gie us a hon, which means will you go and give me a hand? Go and gie us a hon, please. Go and give me a hand, please. Go and help me, please.
Whoa, there we go. We're all on. That's a surprise. I took you by surprise, didn't I? You weren't expecting to be on there. Welcome to the panel. Well, this is the panel for tonight. We have Dave, Aaron, and Will. Dave is somebody that's been with us on our Discord server. I'm our Saorsa Saltire Discord server. I'm going to give Dave the opportunity to introduce himself first. Dave, come and say hello to us. Introduce yourself, please.
Hi, I'm Dave. As you can probably gather from my accent, I'm not actually Scottish, but I've made Scotland my permanent home 19 years ago. And I'm very pleased to be alive as a supporter of independence.
Dave has been at marches with us. Dave proudly wears a little Saorsa hoodie as well, which is great. And he's a hard-working activist on TikTok. with all sorts of interesting comments coming his way all the time, and he also defends them with his little bubbles of the comments above. So you want to go and find Dave on his TikTok. We also have Aaron and Will. Aaron, you have been on this show quite a few times now, so you can just say hello. Quick introduction, please.
Hello, I'm Aaron. I'm the best looking one here.
Okay, and then we'll go to the real good looking one, which is Will. Will, say hello, please.
Thank you, Mo. A bit of sensible conversation at last. Well, I'm Will, obviously, and I think I'm a father of about 4. I'm a grandfather of 2. I know, it's unbelievable, but it's true. I'm a proud activist as well. Glad to be here.
Brilliant. Now, you just heard Blair's little word of the week, which is geese. So as we move on, not straight away, but as we move on and have our conversations tonight about various different topics, the goal is to try and get the word geese in a relevant particular moment, okay? And the sillier the better, the more fun the better, or if it's a pertinent, serious moment, stick it in there as well. All right? So we're just going to move straight on to the first topic, which is about unity in the independence movement. And I've got a wee video, which was a talky introduction bit that I'll play just now, and then I will speak a little bit, and then we'll come in and hear your feelings about unity in the independence movement.
There is far more that unites us than divides us. I witness and experience the natural division across our movement that are the differences of social and political beliefs. This gets misinterpreted as division in the independence movement. Is there not as much division across the union between all the parties of sycophantic serfdom? Those that would vote Tory hate those that would vote Labour, and those that vote Labour, they mock the ones that vote Tory. The independence movement is only divided as the union is, but we have a far higher purpose than any unionist. While they want to imprison a nation, we want to free one. You tell me who the bad guys are here. The independence movement is based on one thing and one thing only, and that is the absolute goal of obtaining independence. That commonality of voting yes will come from differing factions of social and political allegiances, but regardless of these differences, we will still all have to come together to express our right to self-determination. And when we have that vote, we have to remember, at the end of the day, we are all Yes Scots, and we will all be voting yes.
Right, before I come back to the panel and things, I've just got a couple of things I want to say with this, okay? In 2014, we all campaigned on the high of yes. Even when we lost, we still convinced enough people in Scotland to give a 45% vote for yes, and that is a truly amazing achievement. So very close to the goal. Even after 2014, we delivered an incredible amount of pro-Indy MPs to Westminster in the 2015 election, 56 of them, which again is an incredible achievement. But as time went on, this high of yes started to wane, and the movement fractured as social and political differences set us apart. Scandals have ripped through the political entities of the independence movement, reinforcing these differences, entrenching us into different pro-independence ideologies. From the outside, this makes the movement appear unfriendly, and this may put people off from looking at the merits of independence, because why would people want to be part of the bigger picture if that picture is tearing strips off each other right now? What does that mean for the future of the future independent Scotland? Well, across our struggle, we will always have differing social and political values, and it's healthy to debate these. But when we start to suggest that people are not true independent supporters, agents of the state to subvert independence, we look foolish and isolate ourselves into partisan niche, which just turns into an echo chamber and makes us think that, well, what we're saying is correct because everyone else in that echo chamber agrees with us. Independence should be a united front filled with the behaviours and the values of positivity in a progressive Scotland that we want to create. It's not this. If it's not this that we're fighting for, then what's the point? there's no point at all. Everyone's rights should be protected, and everyone should count in this. Okay, we should basically be fighting for a Scotland that we be proud to give, to hand over to our children and our grandchildren. And I'm just waiting for Aaron to put his jumper on before I bring the camera back onto him just now. Are you ready, Aaron? Right, there we go.
My
Thank you.
jumper, I've got a t-shirt on. I just needed to take the jumper off.
No
It
problem.
is warm in here.
That's fine. It's okay. I'm sort of looking at the other camera, going, "Go and hurry up and sit back down." I'm starting to talk more rubbish than usual just now. Oh my word! Right,
No,
listen.
I thought you were good.
No, it's fine. It's all good. Oh, we've lost him. That wasn't me. I didn't chuck him out. Promise you. Right. Okay. Listen. How do you guys feel about unity within the independence movement as a whole? You know, what is it that brings it? Dave. You and I have talked about how it's frustrating. Here he comes back. How it's frustrating that there's a bit of infighting across various different factions, and so on and so forth. So how do you feel about unity? Keep yourself in a positive frame of mind when you're talking about it.
Yeah, well, I have to admit I've been a bit frustrated recently, but I think there needs to be some unity there. Just to show Westminster how it's done.
Yeah.
And we need to show Westminster how unity works, that we've got a common goal and we're all together on this.
Yeah. Do you think that, see, when we're talking about the social and political differences, I don't think personally that it will ever come together to form anything uniform around those. I just think the one thing that we have as a commonality is when we do get the opportunity to vote. Okay, we'll be voting for yes, and that's when you'll see more people coming together. And until we get that opportunity, I think it will be a little bit more difficult to do that. What do you think of that, Will?
Yeah, I actually agree with that. I think independent supporters are naturally a disparate group because the population of Scotland is disparate. We are not able to be compared. And in fact, we inhabit a disparate world of thought. You know, unless you operated in an echo chamber, the 2014 effort formed a united front because there was that common goal. But here's the thing. It wasn't unified. We didn't have unity, you know, and I think people striving for unity are on a hiding to nothing, because what I remember about 2014 was that households were at war. In fact, there was divorces because of it. The arguments in workplaces, the whole population came together in a debate. And in some people, that debate wasn't reasonable. You know, so I think that we should embrace the fact that we're all different, we're all disparate. And the problem we have at the moment is we don't have that mission. And remember, you know, missions are about something which are, you know, there is a common goal, which is an aim, and there is a date by which that goal has to be achieved. And it's measurable. You know, the most famous mission statement was Kennedy, who says, I'm going to put a man on the moon within 10 years and bring him safely back to Earth. So there was the reach goal, there was a time frame, and there was a measure of success. And until we have that, we are going to see this infighting, because all the different groups within independence are fighting for relevancy. And there's a power struggle going on because there's a vacuum. And we've seen with some groups that that's turned into a farce. And we've seen some groups that have got a very powerful message to bring to us. It's very interesting.
Yeah. Aaron, talk to me about.
We can't, as Will says, we can't be compared. Scotland is a different. We take pride on being different, and I had a friend that told me that not we can't all agree on an argument. If for every no, there's got to be a yes to something. There's got to be a positive to a negative, because it would be an imperfect world if we all agreed on something. So, I mean, you can even look at anywhere in Scotland. Nothing is the same. Even in like towns and cities that you go, you can't compare Glasgow and Edinburgh. Do you know what I mean? Glasgow was built off of merchant shipping, and Edinburgh was built off of the fact that it's, well, the capital. You walk down the street and there is in the centre of either of the two cities, and there's different types of buildings, there's different people, and
So are you saying that?
it's-
Are you saying, like, basically at the end of the day, okay, we're different across the whole of Scotland, not just like we've got our own little subcultures, our own sort of like different. We're even in the stonework of our building, we're kind of different as well. And you know what does unite Scots though, outside of independence, is that do we not all support the same football and rugby? There's something united behind. But let's just take a gander back at some of the sort of talking points that I've got here. I think personally, right, I can't help it. I think the disunity and the disharmony that we have is a waste of energy. It really is. But we should be spending more time bringing people to the movement, bringing people to the whole idea of voting yes and the merits of independence. Now, some people might come to that whole story, that whole feeling by a political route, and then some people might mock them. There's disunity. Some people might come from a civic route, a movement for liberty, okay, and some people might mock them. And then you have your hardcore lone wolves out there dealing with like the whole campaigning thing of their own, just basically the whole, which is crazy. Good crazy, don't get me wrong, all right, but it's such a waste of energy when we're actually looking inward instead of outwards at Westminster. You got anything you want to add to that, Dave, at all?
Yeah, I think a lot of the things I'm saying is basically on political lines. We need to be putting, as far as I'm concerned, we need to be putting that aside and focusing on the main goal we've all got here.
Yeah.
Focus on the one thing that we have in common, and that is an independent Scotland, and focusing on that first and foremost.
I think that the route that we travel, though, and we're going to talk about that in the representation section of tonight, the topic for tonight as well, is that when we travel that route, we have to travel it with integrity. Okay, we can't go sort of like out of our way and denigrate. Well, I'm not going to go out of my way to denigrate say Aaron, because he maybe decides that he wants to go a different route towards independence from me. Okay, but I know that his values are good, that he wants to have an inclusive, progressive Scotland where everybody counts. Okay, so that is the sort of way that I want to campaign. Well, I'm going to ask you the same thing. When it comes to like campaigning and moving in a positive direction, when it comes to everybody counts, okay, how do you feel about that? And your mic's off, mate.
What?
Sorry about
there
that.
You go.
It's a good point, Mo. I think striving for unity is, peeing in the wind, and I don't think that we should aim for that. What we should aim for is reasonable debate. And the reason I say that is that unless we do that, others will create the Scotland that they want. At the moment, we've got some factions within the independence movement who, I've got to be honest, are quite frankly geriatric, educated, bigoted elites. Yeah, in my opinion, they're irrelevant because they don't want to even embrace a reasonable debate. But a reasonable debate then shapes things moving forward. Someone put a lovely comment up there about we could be discussing and moving forward to a draft written constitution.
Yeah.
Yep. And that could be based on our historical one. Who knows? Until we have that debate, we should be debating having our own currency ready to go. Now, the Scottish government can't do that because they're in government, you know, and Westminster will stop them, but it doesn't mean it can't happen as a separate entity. So we're ready. So when we get asked that question in a live debate, you know, what are you going to do about currency? We've got an answer this time, you know, and I think there's so many things that we can debate from separate positions because the workers have an opinion. Business will have an opinion. The political people will have an opinion. And yes, the geriatric, educated, bigoted elites will have an opinion. And if it's reasonable, then we can sit down and move forward. But I think to think, let's have unity. It's like a big fairy story. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
It's never going to happen. And we should embrace the differences, but do it in a way of reasonable debate.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, right, what we've got to look at is the power of Yes from 2014. To capture that energy again is going to be nigh on impossible, all right? But we have to reflect on our brothers and sisters that we have out there that will still vote yes. And I'm going to go back. I'm going to wrap up this section just now with just a couple of little comments. So we may have our differences, but the one thing that I will say that unites us all, and it may seem trivial to some, but it's an actual fact, our greatest hidden strength. And that is simply put as a question to the whole independence movement. If there was a referendum tomorrow, are you going to vote yes for an independent Scotland, or will you vote no because you disagree with your independence political rival? Of course you'll be voting yes, because that is what we've been fighting for. And you know something, we have to remember at the end of the day, we are all Yes Scots. We are all Yes Scots. And we will all be voting yes as a whole for that. That's what I feel anyway. Right, I'm going to play another wee video just now, which will take us in to the next part, which is about representation in the independence movement.
If we truly want our independence, we need to represent all of Scotland, because it is all of Scotland that we are fighting for. We may not agree on all political and social issues, but we do have to agree that we cannot misrepresent the majority of Scots and also the minorities. We need to encourage people to join us in the movement by reflecting behaviours that represent the Scotland we would all want to live in after independence. So when it comes to independence, the end does not justify the means. We have to work within a commonality of positive behaviour and then build our movement with representation from all socio-political groups, even if you disagree with them. Why? Why do we have to do this? Because the world is watching. And if we stand on the heads of others to obtain our goals, then we are no better than Westminster or any other regimes in the world that we are critical of.
I'm laughing here, sitting just now, watching Aaron chew his dinner going, the video's going to run out, mate.
It's
The
no dinner.
video's going to run out.
It's jelly beans now. I finished my
Jelly
dinner
beans.
about half an hour ago.
Brilliant. Listen, this is a fictitious sort of part just now, okay, where basically we're designing a movement to liberate Scotland, to make Scotland independent, to take us forward. Okay, we said previously that it's going to be difficult to unite everybody under one banner for it all, but the one thing when it comes to us actually pushing forward for yes is that we do need to have representation across basically everything. All right, the educated elite, okay, the unions and the workers, political entities, the LGBTQXYZ. I always get those letters wrong, so please forgive me. I'm Generation X, and I always get things wrong like that. You have to forgive me. And we need to have, if we're having representation, we need to have it so the people at the top that are speaking for us, they should be. It doesn't. If it's say it's a civic movement, they need to be elected by the people that are involved with it, and in the interest of transparency, should their their minutes from their meetings be published to the body of the Kirk, so to say. It doesn't have to go right out to the whole independence movement, just to the people that are part of all that. Okay, so representation comes from transparency, in my opinion, as well, of how that representation got there in the first place. I think it's really important about that. But yeah, so anybody want to comment on the whole idea of representation within the independence movement? Aaron, while you're eating your jelly babies.
Jelly beans.
Oh, sorry, jelly beans.
No, I mean, I would like to think that there is a few groups I've seen that do quite a bit of work within the independence movement that don't get the representation that they deserve.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think that Chain of Scotland's one of them. They're not getting enough representation just now. They need to have that Chain of Freedom thing, the one that's going right across Scotland. They need to, if anybody's watching this, okay, you need to go to, what's it? Is it Chain of Freedom? Freedom Chain?
Chain of Freedom, I'm sure it is.
Go and look them up on Facebook. They've also got a website, chainoffreedom.scot or something like that. I can't remember. Go and find them, go and join them, and share it with all your indie pals. And every day share it. Sharing it once is not enough. We'll be plugging them at the end as well. But they need more people. They need everybody. Everybody. Sorry, Aaron. I've interrupted you. I've just got carried away there. Carry on.
Sake. Can't even get in without you having words. You know what I mean?
I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. I got carried away. Okay?
It's fine, mate. No, it's as we say, there's no an independent. The independence movement was always there, and obviously the government, the Scottish government, done it back in 2014, but there's no very much that they can do at this point because all the Conservatives will do is just shut them down. It's not, in fact, it's not even the Conservatives; it's the whole of that palace down there in London that will just go, nah, we don't think they should have that, score right through it. That's it, vetoed straight away. And for years they were claiming that we were in a union of equals. We clearly can't be that equal if they can just score right through it legislation. We have separate court systems, so why is it an issue? Shouldn't really be, should it? But the government can't do anything. That's why it's now been taken outside the government.
Yeah, no, it's I just personally, from my point of view, okay, I'm very much along the lines of people want to live the best life they can without any fear of persecution, bullying, or any form of like persecution against them. Okay, I find it's important that we should build on those values. That's why we kind of use that phrase, everybody counts, everyone counts. It's that sort of representation at the top tiers of our tables. Political parties have to do it. They have to actually do that. And I think that's important. I think that, we're just a group of creators. We've had people in our little Discord that basically are mixed and matched across all the colors of the rainbow, to be perfectly honest. And if we're represented, we can't say that we're representing one group or another, but that's not what we're about. We push also the positive representation across everything. Will, do you want to jump in and have a good one?
I'll be very brief because I have to nip my thigh just to stop saying what I really, really want to say. And those that know me know my thoughts on this. I think any people's movement, especially a Scottish people's movement, where the people are sovereign, and if that movement is about that fact, they themselves should be not self-elected. Yeah, they should be representative of that sovereignty. I'm not going to say any more for obvious reasons. I'm sure people can understand that it's quite an emotional subject. That, as Mo says, everybody counts, and I don't want to be part of a Scotland where that doesn't happen. And at the end of the day, what's the point? Unless everyone counts. What is the point of screaming, give us democracy, if we, at the first hurdle, fail. It's awful, really awful. And I'll just leave it at that. Thanks, Mo.
No problem. Right, cool. Dave, you want anything to say on representation within the independence movement?
Yes, I do. And like Will, I'm having to bite my tongue saying exactly what I think here. But we cannot exclude any section of community. Everybody literally counts here, regardless of the differences we have. Everybody should be represented, which unfortunately, where I'm originally from, that's not always the case. But in an independent Scotland, we need to make sure that everybody's represented and everybody counts.
Yeah.
Regardless of their opinions or whether they're LGBTQ, whether they're ethnic minorities. If you've made your home in Scotland, you count and your voices count.
Agreed completely. I think at the end of the day, okay, the majority of the independence movement, the good people of the independence movement, are very much behind positive representation. I mean, I think that we're very open. Look at the great example of Glasgow when that chap that was getting lifted by the immigration police. Okay, when he got lifted, the community banded round. Okay, that was amazing. They did the same thing in Edinburgh. I don't know if you know that. They did the same thing in Edinburgh as well. I think that we're much more open to the minorities in Scotland than people realise. I think that's a very positive thing. And nobody can argue against that. Okay, but when people start to, if their personal opinions overlap within their organizations into things which could potentially be a little bit more cutthroat and things, I think that's when maybe we should take a hard look at ourselves and think, what's the Scotland that we want to build, at the end of the day, which is good. I had a big long spiel that I was going to sort of like start talking about now. I think it's probably about a couple of, where is it?
Is it about me eating jelly beans?
No, it's not about you eating jelly beans, mate. I'm scrolling down to that. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to save that and make a video out of that one, to be perfectly honest, because I think it's more worthwhile making a video out of that long soliloquy that I wrote in my notes there just now. But you know what? Everyone counts, and that's something that we should always remember. Everyone counts. Everyone's rights counts. And when I've said that before, I've had people from various different communities come back to me and say, what about these rights? Well, yeah, that comes under the banner of everyone. What about my rights? Well, your rights count as well, because that comes under the whole essence of everyone counts. Okay. I think that one of the things that is closest to my heart, the very, very first demonstration that I went out on, was when I was about 5 or 6 years old with my mum. All right. My mum was campaigning in Edinburgh for women to have the right to not have their husbands sign bank loans on their behalf. All right. I was brought up by a single mum. I am very, very, very pro women in that sense, completely 100% pro women in that sense. Right the way through, I was always brought up to basically have everybody treated with respect. At the same time, okay, my mum was an artist in the 70s, a single mum and an artist in the 70s. So she was like kind of looked upon by some of the neighbors as like a bit of a harlot there. She's a single mum. Look at her, just, people like that don't really deserve to live on our street, do you? We had a lot of nonsense going on there, but because she was an artist as well, we had every color in the rainbow visiting our home all the time. And I find it sometimes a bit disturbing when people turn around and say, I don't have anything against people within the LGBTQ community. It says, well, then why are you saying that? Why are you saying that? You don't need to say that if you've got nothing against them, or you accept them, or you accept women's rights, or you accept somebody else's rights. There has to be a conversation where the overlapping circles of everybody's rights, a place where everyone counts, is the value that we all aim for. And I think that's really important, because we want to build a Scotland that we will be proud to give across to our grandchildren so they can inherit something positive. That's for me anyway, that's probably really important. Let's move on to Scotland's oil, shall we?
There are international agreements and treaties that dictate the maritime boundaries and borders of coastal countries across the planet. It just so happens, before our Parliament opened in 1999, that the Scottish-English maritime boundary was rewritten to hand over several oil and gas fields to Westminster control. In 2014, we were told by the media that the Yes campaign could not rely on oil as a factor in the economy of an independent Scotland. In particular, the BBC stated that the UK would run out of oil, gas and coal within 5 years. Bear in mind that if that was the case, oil, gas and coal would have run out in 2019. But now, that oil that should have run out is still flowing, and it will flow more so now with the hundreds of new licenses that Rishi Sunak's Parliament has granted. What makes this particularly interesting is that in May, Rishi Sunak's family signed a $1.5 billion deal with BP, but he would go on to say in the media that this has no legitimate public interest. Is that right, aye? Your family signs a deal with BP for $1.5 million, and then 2 months later, you open up more oil fields for them to drill and land oil. Something's very fishy, Rishi. You must think we are stupid. Then you have the audacity to gaslight us all by saying that drilling for oil is entirely consistent with our plan to get to net zero. Yeah, okay then. Rishi Sunak then shifts the subject matter to accuse Labour for not wanting to protect British jobs in the oil industry and in actual fact protect Russian jobs. Why would a Tory say that about Labour? Gaslighting, shifting the blame, obfuscating the truth. This latest episode of Let's Fleece Scotland demonstrates quite plainly that the pantomime of Westminster has been playing out on the stage, once again, of Scotland's resources. It's Scotland's oil, and this is one of the genuine reasons that Westminster blocks every attempt to express our right to self-determination. And see all those Anglo-British nationalist Scots that accept and even applaud Westminster rule. They ought to be ashamed of themselves for accepting this level of exploitation upon their own country.
There you go. So listen, this is something that frustrates me big time when I see the amount of nonsense gaslighting across everything. I've got some photographs I'm going to put up. So first of all, I think Westminsters are grifters, hell-bent on fleecing an entire nation. And all the Scots who voted no in 2014 that believed their lies, and some that still do, it's much the shame to them. We are told repeatedly that the oil was running out and it would be foolish for us to bet on it if we voted yes. Here is The Economist. Okay, this is just one of the articles from 2014, running on fumes. Okay, and basically it was running on fumes, which discussed the mismanagement of North Sea oil and that it was running out, which is just ridiculous. Then we have also got the Times article, okay, which was published on September the 18th, 2014. September the 18th. And this was titled North Sea Oil Running Out Faster Than Feared. And it stated that one of Britain's leading energy consultants has blown a hole in the Yes movement's campaign for their budget forecast for an independent Scotland, warning that North Sea oil is running out more quickly than we thought. And here's the most farcical one at all. You might not be able to see it, it's right there at the very bottom, but basically on the 16th of May 2014, the BBC uploaded an article to their website titled UK Needs More Homegrown Energy, stating it's just over 5 years until Britain will have run out of oil, coal and gas. Well, How many years are we past that now? Let's have a think. So that was 2014 to 2019. Then, so 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. So 4 years ago, we should have ran out of oil, coal, and gas. What a joke. Go figure that one. Now, on Monday, number 10, basically handed out another 100 licenses for it. That's unbelievable. I've come to other conclusions with this. Is anybody, before I start going off on a rant about Scotland getting fleeced and things like that, please somebody take control of the floor. Dave, have you got any sort of things that you feel about this, man?
Yeah, well, I'm going to use the word of the week. Give us a break for Westminster on this one, because how is it now? You made a commitment in COP26 and COP27 to be net zero by a certain year. How is issuing all these licenses? I mean, most it's about 100 licenses, actually 300 licenses they've now granted. How's that consistent with what you pledged in COP26 and in COP27? It's not. And anyone who's, and the fact that they're saying it's in line with their commitments, they're fooling themselves, because it's not. It's complete opposite.
No, I totally agree. They're just, but it's like totally going to happen. It's like drilling for oil is going to be very good for getting us to net zero. There's things that you could probably say that, you know, it's, if we keep all the fuel, that it will cost less to produce it, to keep it and within the UK. That means we're not importing it, so there's less of a carbon footprint on the carbon footprint making oil and stuff. We just need to we need to be moving towards net zero. That's kind of how I feel about it. A genuine transition is just, and it doesn't push us into a position for losing jobs or going for an economy. I'm sure Will's got something that you would want to say about this as well. Your mic's off, mate. Your mic's off, mate.
Sorry about that, guys.
Give a break, will you? Give a break and keep your mic on.
Yeah.
Peace, man.
So, beg your pardon?
Nothing. I never says anything.
So, Rishi. Yeah, I love that. That's quite good. Sells, doesn't grant anything. He's selling these licenses, yeah, for people to explore for oil and gas in Scottish waters. Yeah. And his reasoning behind it was to give the UK, the United Kingdom, energy security. And he was citing the fact of the Ukraine war and everything that happened and the spike in oil prices. But here's the oxymoron. It's international energy companies, and maybe BP as well, that will buy those licenses. Yep. And crucially, the oil and gas that is produced from those licenses will be sold by these international companies into the global energy markets. And remember that Westminster told us, repeatedly, that this is out of their control. The price of oil and gas is set by the international global markets. Yep. And to a certain extent, they're right. Okay.
Yeah.
You're giving away the rights to your oil and gas. It goes into the global market. It goes the highest bidder, because it's an auction. Yeah. Then bids on oil and gas. Yeah. And those that pay the most get it. And the UK ended up, having, and remember, we're supplying that market, oil and the gas, with the highest energy prices in the developed world. And here's something that sticks in my throat. And within the UK, Scotland pays more. Scotland pays more for its energy than someone in London. Yeah.
That's disgusting, isn't it?
It is offensive. Yeah. So despite us being the supplier of the resource, we actually end up paying more. Scottish people are irrelevant to Westminster. And I don't know how else that this would blatantly, Rishi comes out and sells Hi, Aaron. Good-looking lad. Yeah, it's disgusting.
Did you think so?
So here's the thing. His statement was at best disingenuous, but in my opinion, it's lying corruption.
I agree with you completely. There's a few comments that are, I'm going to bring them up again on the screen. Okay, Woofpet is basically said, they lie about everything else. Why would this be any different? It's the truth of the matter is that's the case. They're not telling us the truth. They're just wanting to fleece us. They're just wanting to exploit us. Hashbury has as well, any new oil that these exploration licenses found is unlikely to be extracted for many years, because they'd have to get the infrastructure built over it, or that's like could be moving a floating rig to that position and moving on with regards to that. And then also Hashbury went on to say as well that 80%, I think you said that, Will, to 80% of UK oil and gas is also exported. So why would this be any different? It goes to the international market, as you said. It's not going to give any sort of security, energy security at all. It's to give the shareholders of big oil and gas companies a lot more money in their offshore accounts. And this is the frustrating thing. We've got like absolutely no say on this at all. Okay, we are hitting. We can't. When people start saying, "Oh, you need to make Scotland better, use the powers of devolution to make it better," well, we can't. We can't move any further inside the box that we've been restricted in, and energy is one of those restrictions. How can we provide fuel security and energy security to the Scottish people? How can we bring prices down? Well, we can't. We don't even have a say in it at all whatsoever. Okay, there's a nice glass ceiling above us that needs to be smashed, that takes us to freedom and independence and the ability to actually do the right thing for our country. But as long as we remain in that box with that glass ceiling and we can see it, we can see all the powers and the regulations that we would have control of right above us. It's right there, but we can't touch them. And I find this frustrating. And meanwhile, you've got the whole sort of like gaslighting in 2014 about, oh, the oil's going to run out. Oh, you can't base your economy on that. It's such a fluctuating market. And now look what's happening now. It's a joke. If this doesn't sway people to sort of reconsider a no vote and turn to yes, I just don't understand what possibly could, because this is like blatant in your face lying. This is like more lies than you could possibly imagine just in one set of sold licenses. Drives me absolutely bananas. You got anything you want to say about this, Aaron?
He's just like Rishi. I think that's still. I'm still laughing at that. He's not a very intelligent guy. The guy can't even pull a pint. Do you know what I mean?
It's the truth.
He's putting up alcohol tax, and he announced it at a beer festival. Why would you do that? Oh wow. Then he's got. Sorry, Mo, for interrupting there. He's got a point of the oil won't have as big a carbon footprint because a lot of the natural gas that is actually going into the energy grid here is actually for Qatar.
Mm-hmm.
And that's quite a while away. Do you know what I mean? Qatar's thousands of miles away. But it's because it's cheaper. But these are, as we say, these are international companies that are extracting this oil. What are you going to turn around and tell them, oh, you can't extract that oil? They'll go, try and stop us, we already did, and ship it across to Canada or something, because that's what they'll do. What you're going to do, turn around and go, you can't do that. It's an international company. You're going to stop them.
Nah, nobody's going to stop them, mate. Nobody at all. Dave, if you want to add any comments to this at all? Your microphone's off as well.
I've just switched it back on. Excuse me. Just basically give us our oil back, because it's unfair that that Scotland with this energy thing have to pay to get it onto the national grid, and then have to pay 3 times the amount of the rest of the UK to get to use that energy.
So yeah, so basically, you're right there, because we pay a higher premium to use the grid that sends it to wherever, and then we pay an even higher premium to actually utilize that energy as well back through the grid. It's like we're getting stood on twice, really, isn't it? It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and seeing as I don't know what the actual figure is, but Scotland actually produces more energy than it actually needs. We're selling that. We're effectively paying to have that put onto the national grid so that the likes of England can use it. But then we have to buy it back at a higher premium.
Yes. I'm just looking at some of the comments here just now. There's another good one. There's one from Leslie Monroe, which is, it's worse than that. He's entitled with contempt towards ordinary people. We're cattle to him, only there to put money in their coffers. That's it. We're serfs. They're the lords. We're the serfs. We have to do what they say. And then Hashbury's also saying, the majority of imported gas is used in England to produce electricity and is needed because they have reduced gas storage. I believe that the gas storage facilities were sold a while back, which was ridiculous. So this is where we don't have that storage facility. I think France has got something that they've got like 18 months worth of energy stores for their entire nation in the form of gas storage facilities. Maybe it's only 6 months. I might be exaggerating, but you know what? It's just a nice thing to think about, that at least other nations are looking after their people for it all. And you're right. Kimru says Scotland shouldn't pay a penny for its own energy. Going down through the grid. In fact, why are we paying anything on the grid? It's just because it's privatized. We should be paying the cost for the maintenance of it all. It shouldn't be run for an at profit thing anyway. That's just how I feel. And what's Druss saying there, doesn't think it's from Qatar. Just what we're told. We could pay. Why would they pay more to transport in the distance? I don't know. I couldn't put an answer on that one, Druss. Maybe we can have you got an idea for that one?
The oil and gas in the Middle East is produced insanely cheap. It is produced at like a tenth of the price or something, because I actually have a friend that I work with. He has a friend who lived in Aberdeen. I'm sure he's from Aberdeen, the guy. And he used to work in oil rigs. And they weren't bringing any tankers in because they could get it like 20 times cheaper or something. It was actually cheaper for a company to fly them to Qatar and the United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia and extract the oil and gas than it was to be extracted in the North Sea. That's apparently what this boy was saying, because he's getting flown to Qatar and Kuwait and all these places in the Middle East. And I'm going, that is absolutely bonkers. Do you know what I mean? Because it's cheaper.
Yeah.
They're flying plane loads of people to Qatar. That blows my mind.
It's just crazy. What else? Leslie's just come up with another one as well there, which is interesting. They've got rid of energy storage facilities. I think, was that the one I just put up before? I don't know. We talked about it before. Yeah, no. That's what contributed to last year's outrageous prices. We had little stored backup to smooth the supply when prices were high. I remember actually reading something about that, Leslie, that if we had like more supplies that were stored, that we could have had a gradual increase rather than sort of like the price hikes that we actually had, because we had to go and buy an awful lot of it there. And then Mark, yes, Scotland means nothing to Westminster. They kept reducing service standards at Hunterston, placing residents at risk to power the northeast of England. Nuclear subs won't move south as it poses a risk to tens of thousands, but 4 million Scots. It's okay to keep the nukes there. Yeah, do you know what? The whole thing is unbelievable. The whole thing is frustrating. And the only way that we can fix this and move forward is with independence, and that is something that we're working towards. That's kind of us, apart from really the shout outs, which we'll go into in just a wee second. Guys, have you got anything you want to add to any of the conversations tonight? Because I've got a couple of things. There was a brilliant post. I'm going to do this just now. We're going to scroll back. It was another one by Hashbury. You've got some great comments tonight, Hashbury. This one is going back to representation. The first public demonstration on behalf of gay lib took place during the Festival of Light in George Square. Can you believe that? In Glasgow, George Square, 1972. I was a year old then. I quite like that. I never knew anything about that, Hashbury. Thank you for posting that. That was I found that quite interesting. But I'd already clicked on the video for oil, and I couldn't put it in out of context. But I wasn't going to let it go by without saying something, which is cool. Right. Anything you want to add, Will?
I think that Hashbury, Leslie, there's a few others have given some fantastic pointers there. Thank you, guys. There's a guy called Barry Smith that's on the comments that's being a bit of an idiot. I'm sorry, but even his image
Barry.
looks a bit odd. I mean, if anyone was to blow up his image, they'd go, "Oh my god!"
It looks like a button.
He's a button.
It's a button. That's funny.
Oh no!
You got anything you want to add or say before we move on? Before we say goodbye, Aaron?
What I was going to say is, when we were talking about the gas and all that, is that I was actually watching that Jonathan Pye.
Yeah.
He is absolutely hysterical, and then he's talking about obviously the oil and gas and all that, and it was written into the Tories, and it was so funny. But he says Scotland actually produces 6 times more gas than what it needs. That's
true.
quite a lot. And then the gas prices in the United Kingdom, the reason that they absolutely took a spike is because in England they have quite a lot of gas-fired power stations. It's like something like 26% of their energy comes from like gas-fired power stations. That's quite a big number for a country that's trying to move to net zero. Do you know what I mean?
But no, listen, see the whole transition thing, right? Okay, I'm a bit of an idealist. You would never have guessed that, okay? And I feel that there's a lot of jobs to be had in renewables. I mean, there's technology out there with regards to solar collection and stuff like that, all right? I'm not saying it's perfect, but it would still collect enough on Scottish roofs. Why aren't we utilizing more of that? Why aren't we utilizing more of the tidal stuff? I know that Scotland has more tidal turbines and creates more tidal energy than any other, well, basically all the other countries of the world combined. But we need to be doing more. We need to be doing more and more and more and more still. We need to be leading this whole move to net zero instead of now looking like a bunch of pariahs. I mean, that whole thing, where is it? I've got in my notes here, the what's his name from the what's it called, the United Nations, the Secretary General, you know, was turned around and says the truly dangerous radicals are the countries that are increasing the production of fossil fuels. And this was on the back of a report from the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. Okay, so this is now the UK not only looking foolish with its breaking of international treaties before, but now also going into the bracket of a previous statement last year from the United Nations Secretary General. It's just a joke, man. It really is. It's embarrassing, to be perfectly honest.
We're moving backwards.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Right, I'm going to do some shout outs just now. If you guys have got any shout outs, you can do them in a minute or two as well. I'm going to start off with, I think we should all be looking at, we're coming up sort of like towards the end of summer, and we should be looking at the marches that we've got left. We've got one in September. We've got all under one banner ones as well before then, but we've got one that's being done by Believe in Scotland, which is for Scotland in the EU. This is one where actually the First Minister is going to be attending and doing a speech at the rally. Yeah, that's what I thought. I'm going along for that just to see what he's got to say. And then you've got all the All Under One Banner ones up to the end of the year, with the last one being in October in Edinburgh as well. The next 2 marches that I'm going to be at will be the 2 in Edinburgh. I can't go to any of the other ones as well. We've also got, I think, the most important thing that we can do to support anything within the independence movement just now is the chain of freedom. And I'm going to actually, I think I've got this. I wonder if I can put this in the comments. Yes, there we go. I will Control X. This is their website in the comments. It should be coming up just now. chainoffreedom.scot. All right. Now, if you haven't heard of this, where on earth have you been? Because Chain of Freedom is basically going to be forming a human chain from just up the road in Edinburgh, where I stay, right the way along the canal, all the way out to Glasgow. And we're all going to be holding hands in a mass demonstration of our sovereignty, our right to self-determination. And we need more people to sign up for it. And we need, so if you go and if you've not signed up for it, go and sign up for it. And then by the end of next week, make sure you've got 2 other people to sign up for it, and get them to sign up for 2 people, and then them and them to sign up for 2 other people. This should be something that, regardless of the marches, that everybody should be talking about every single day to as many different people, even if they don't support independence. Get them along to it just to hold hands, to show solidarity against the Tories, against Westminster, who are fleecing us. They can't be happy. People that don't support independence can't be happy with what's going on. Let them come and demonstrate to that as well. This doesn't have to be independent supporters. Everybody should be doing it. That's how I feel about it. And what else have we got? I think that's it. That's the 3: the marches, the Believe in Scotland march, all the Under One Banner marches, and specifically the Chain of Freedom. Now, one last little thing, let me just put this up here just now as well, is that we have a website, which is saorsascot.com, all right, where we do podcasts, blogs, videos, various other things, we just write as well. So we've got a couple of interesting writers. I do a little bit of writing. I'm not saying I'm any good, but I do write a little bit. And if you are somebody that is wanting to blog, or somebody that wants to come on to do a podcast, get in touch at info@saorsascot.com. Send us a wee email, tell me what you want to do, and then we can have a discussion to make sure that it happens. All right. So yeah, that's about it. So let's say goodbye to the team. Dave, wrap up and give us your goodbyes, please, good sir.
It's been good to be here tonight, and hopefully see you on here again whenever the next live is.
Brilliant. Aaron, you handsome devil.
Enjoyed being here tonight. Very good conversation as per usual. Thank you for everybody who watched. If you can't be good, be careful.
And if you can't be
just
careful, at
be
least
good.
be legal. Okay.
If you can't be good, don't get caught.
Well, oh my goodness. Is that your granddad in the background, Will?
This guy here.
Aye.
It just reminds me of someone. Anyway.
Looks like you. With a moustache.
Anyway, I just want to say to the ladies that Tuesdays and Thursdays, I've got my diary open for dating.
Listen. It's not that sort of thing, all right? Honest to God, man. This isn't your Tinder account, all right?
I know. I'm just saying, right? It was just part of my thing, right? And my teeth are my own, right? And this is my hair, okay? And
he's just been back for Turkey.
Yeah, and it's all about me,
honestly.
Okay?
Right. Okay. That's that because I didn't say you were the more handsomer one than Aaron. Okay, I apologize.
No, Aaron's a lovely looking lad. Look at him. Only a
Thanks,
I would love.
Listen, guys, I appreciate you coming on. It's really good that you come on. We're going to be back in a couple of weeks' time unless we get something very interesting to do late at night. One of the reasons we do late night shows is because not many people do late night shows for us. For independence, and it's the only time I'm free in my house where I don't have children running around behind me. So and I'm also a bit of a night owl. We also have a little Discord that we have people coming into from time to time too. So come and speak to us. info@saorsascot.com. Send us a little message. I'm just going to say a massive thank you. Listen, guys, thank you so much. I'm now going to take control of the screen and mute you all. God damn it. What he's like. I'll see you guys in the Discord in 5 minutes or so. Listen, thank you to Scott Sov, Kimru, Leslie, Cable. We know your real name, Cable. I won't say it out loud. And everybody else that was here tonight. Hashberry, great comments as well. Druss, thank you. Barry, I will see you as well. Where you in Discord, where you can mock Will for definitely not getting any buttons anymore. Who else have we got? Mark Telfer. And there's loads of people. If I've not mentioned you, I like to try and get through most of the people that did prolific and interesting. Woofpet, all the great comments. Everybody that's making an effort to come and see us tonight. I really appreciate it. It means a lot to us. And we will be back. Come and find us. You can see all of our links. If you go to the website, you'll find all our links there. And yeah, we'll be back soon. Thank you for joining us. And goodbye. And good luck. I've just got to find there we go. That's the one. Is that the one we need to do? I don't think I've uploaded the right picture here. Oh, no, there it is. It's right at the top. Yes, I'm a professional, honest. Good night, everybody.